Now, I wanted to talk tonight about something that some of you might have heard of, and I think I might have even talked about it in the past because we so often speak on Sukkot, on the holiday of the Tabernacles. And that is something that my family loves very much. It's been put to music. It is the Seven Shepherds. Some of you might be familiar with this. On the festival of Sukkot, of Tabernacles, there are a lot of commandments. Of course, one of the best known commandment, of course, is the commandment of sitting and eating and sleeping and enjoying and living in a booth. And the other very famous commandment is to take the four species, the palm frond, the citrus fruit, we've got a few of them over here, and to be happy with them as well. Those are the two commandments that we praise and bless God for as well. But and of course there's another commandment, of course, and that is the commandment of the pilgrimage, to come up to the land of Israel, to Jerusalem, to the temple, on each of the three pilgrimage holidays, and certainly the holiday of the Tabernacles is amongst them. So first of all, Yishar Koach, very good for you who have done this commandment. This, by the way, is one of the commandments that I'm familiar with that is also a commandment on Gentiles, on non-Jews. The commandment that is, I believe it's is in Zechariah, that all the nations must come up to the land, up to Jerusalem, make pilgrimage, and whoever doesn't, then they will not have rain. This, by the way, is a passage from the Bible which we Orthodox read during the holiday of Tabernacle. So we remember it. We might not notice it, but it's there. So we're very pleased that you guys are helping us out by being here as well. The thing that I wanted to mention, though, is one of the minhagim, one of the customs of Sukkot, is to welcome guests into your sukkah, into your tabernacle. And of course, the idea of welcoming guests into your home is a very, very important one in general. But specifically during Sukkot, during the Feast of Booths, the idea of welcoming others in is a very strong one. So much so that we even welcome in our forefathers every night. We have three forefathers that was very, very confusing for me for many, many years. If there are three, how could they be four? If there are four, how could there be three? No. Oh, wow, I don't understand what I'm saying. Forefathers, F-O-R-E, the before fathers. Tough crowd. As far as those, that was Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. So stay with me, that's three. After Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob came Moses and Aaron. After Moses and Aaron, because Moses and Aaron, of course, were also shepherds. All of these leaders that I'm mentioning were shepherds, both physically, they dealt with sheep, and they were also leaders. The idea of shepherds, I think you're all familiar, that God seeked out shepherds in order to lead his people. Because if you're, I'll tell you a famous story about Moses, that God was looking at Moses, and he saw how he was a shepherd. He was shepherding his father-in-law Jethro's sheep, and one of the little sheep ran away. And Moses went over and took that sheep very carefully in his arms, that lamb. And God said, if you're so careful and so humble and so nice dealing with a lamb, then certainly you're the person that I want to lead my nation. And the rest, as they say, is history. So back to Moses and his brother Aaron, and that comes up to 5. Then we move back a little bit in history to Joseph, who of course was also a great leader of the Jewish people. And we finish off with King David. These are the 7 shepherds that are welcomed in every night in our Sukkot. And I'm now going to try to remember the two-word description of each of these shepherds. First comes Avraham Avinu, Ish Chesed. Abraham, our father, was a man of compassion, a man of loving kindness. And in fact, he wasn't just a man of loving kindness, he was the prototype of loving kindness. Abraham's tent was open on all four directions. No matter which way a guest would come, Abraham wanted them to feel that his home was welcome to them. And this is really but certainly one of the most important foundations of the Jewish people, the compassion that we have for each other and for all people of the world. So that's Avraham Avinu, Ish Chesed. Yitzchak Avinu, Nezer Bigvura. Yitzchak, Isaac, was the epitome of strength and courage. Now this is a little bit strange because Isaac, as we know, was bound and sacrificed on the altar. And the rest of the stories of Isaac in the Bible are very, very few. And what there is relatively passive. And that is the one aspect of courage and of strength that we can learn also from Isaac. That courage and strength is not, let's see who I can bop in the face and knock down, and then whoever is left standing, he's the winner. No, just the opposite. That we have to forego our own personal strength and try to hear from God what He wants from us. And there's really no better example of that than Isaac, who, according to Jewish tradition, was fully cognizant of Abraham's commandment to bind him and sacrifice him on the altar. So that is a message of humility that we must learn also from this guest, Isaac. Then comes Jacob, Yaakov Avinu. Help me out here, ladies. Huh? Raya Mehemna. No, that's Moshe Rabbeinu. Avraham Avinu, Ish Chesed, Yitzchak Avinu, Nezer Bigvura, Yaakov Avinu. Oh, well, I wasn't prepared well enough. We'll get back to that, huh? Klil Tiferet. Oh, so Klil Tiferet means the essence of beauty. And Jacob, he had a lot of fights in his time. He had a difficult life, but he was the father of the 12 tribes. It was really Jacob, until Jacob came around, okay, you had Abraham had 1.5 sons or so. Yeah, he had actually a lot more. But as far as the main cast of characters were concerned, he even told God himself, what do you want from me? I don't have any children. He was 99 before he had a son at all. So it was not very clear how history was going to play out as far as God's promise to Abraham that his nation, that his progeny, his descendants would be a nation as great as the stars in the sky and the sands on the earth. And followed by him was Isaac, who also only had 2 sons. Rebecca was also barren until she prayed, and she had 2 sons, and one of them almost killed the other. So it also wasn't too easy. When Jacob came around, had his 12 sons, from whom the 12 tribes of Israel came forth, this was the opportunity for this essence of beauty to come down to the world. And this is the idea that we also have when we are inviting Isaac into the sukkah. And if any of you have ever been guests in a sukkah, then you know it can be a very, very beautiful experience. And that is that the Jewish tradition, the Jewish commandment, Jewish lifestyle is not just let's see how legalistic we can do. No. It's based on how beautiful life can be, and how beautiful we can connect our life to the beauty of the world, and that is a commandment. One of the things that Jewish tradition tells us is that when we go after 120 years up to heaven, God asks us, was there something that you could have enjoyed but didn't? So we have to make sure that we enjoy as much as we can while we're here, and that is the essence of beauty as far as Jacob is concerned. And each night we mention each one of these shepherds. The fourth shepherd is Moses, and he's the Ra'aya Mehemna. He is a faithful friend. He's a faithful servant, but he's also a faithful friend. And this is very important because people might think that a servant and a friend are two totally different things. But Moses was God's friend and the Jewish people's friend as well. He was like in between. He was like, I'm going to I'm going to defend the Jewish people towards God. The people of Israel towards God. I'm going to defend God towards the Jewish people. And that was the beauty and the essence of Moses. And we're coming up towards the second half over here, towards after Moses comes Aaron. Aaron is Ohev Shalom. Aaron loves peace. We talked a moment ago about how Moses ran interference between God and the people of Israel. But Aaron, his brother, ran interference, as it were, between man and his fellow man within the Jewish people. The story, again, a midrash, a Jewish teaching goes that Aaron would see that two Jewish people were fighting in the camp. He went over to one of them and said, listen, the guy that you're fighting with, he really wants to apologize to you. Please, let's try to get together, okay? And then he went over to the other guy and said, that other guy that you were fighting with, he really wants to apologize to you. And so he brought them together, and each of them felt that they could forgive the other. And this is a tradition, a teaching that goes back to Aaron the priest. You would think, and sadly, there are many stories of Aaron's descendants, the priests, that did not follow Aaron's teaching. But this is the teaching that we all very much must work on, because I don't think that there's anything more important than being friends with each other and trying to bring peace between man and his fellow man and man and wife. Very, very important things as far as the Jewish tradition is concerned. We're coming up on, after Avram, Yitzchak, and Yaakov, Moshe, Aaron, we go back to Joseph, Yosef HaTzadik. Joseph was a righteous person. It's very hard to translate tzaddik as righteous, because it's so much more so than just, a guy that follows the rules and makes sure everything. Tzaddik is almost a divine righteousness. And in fact, the description of Yosef is tzaddik yesod olam. I'm almost done here. The tzaddik, the righteous person, is the foundation of the world. And I think I'll move forward on that, because people here can imagine what that means, until we get up to the last of the 7 days of Sukkot. And our final guest is David HaMelech, King David, Malka Mashiach, King David, the anointed king, the King Messiah. These are the 7 guests, the 7 leaders that Jews welcome into their Sukkot throughout all the generations throughout the 7 days of Sukkot. And I was very happy to share them with you tonight because that's what came upon my heart.